Be second 7 for Park Hills.
Sensel. I love how Sensel comes downhill from that C position, Jake.
You know, he's always been an aggressive player. The thing is, he just needed to hit that little extra growth spurt. Love the weight room. You know, he just needed to hit that high school growth spurt to go from that and bring a little muscle with it.
He brings some thunder with him, but he reads the hole right, too, right?
He does. His timing's perfect. He hasn't got caught yet flowing downhill, which is a great read key for him.
Trips to the left side here for Central. They'll reset their wide out. Jackson Jones looks to that left, now looks back over to the sideline to get the call and see if they'll change it. It's a 3rd and 5 for the Rebels. And a little flip to the right side, complete at the sticks. I'm guessing he's going to have it on forward progress. Colin Holsey with the grab, but they marked him pretty short over there.
It does look short. It did look like he was a little bit further with the initial hit he took, rode him up to that line. The second defender came in, pushed him back, but still forward progress I thought was just a little bit more advanced.
Still 5-yard gain there, and it'll bring up a 4th and short, and they'll go back to that triple I formation, that Ralph Friedgen Maryland I, and Jackson Jones is down under center. You've got Karis Foster as the third back through. They'll just keep it with Jackson, though, and he says, give me a nudge, lineman, and he rode him through for a 2-yard gain and a first down. Jones with 12 carries now and 88 yards and 11 yards rushing per game. He seems like he's on pace. He's got 88 so far, 8 minutes remaining in the third.
And he's been much more productive on so far in the third quarter. I mean, he had some runs in the first, but it looks like that offensive line has settled down. They may have a different read up front. They may have changed their blocking scheme a little bit, but it definitely does look like they're getting more momentum and movement up front.
Trips to the left for these Rebels, one man off to the right side. And they'll reshift Toomey from the right to the left flank of the quarterback. And now a pass out to the flat to Henson. Henson trying to break a tackle. Can't get free for a touchdown there, but he does gain 8 yards and some pretty good open field tackling there. Mason Proffer.
You know, and the one thing there is that's the new blocking scheme for a lot of receivers is they get in your hip ball screen, which technically still contact to the back, hands on or hands off is blocking the back. Central may have gotten away with one on the edge. You know, you can't judge the official with their point of view, but that definitely was a close call where Derek Irby may have had a chance for a tackle.
Henson wide to the right side. You've got one wide to the left, and once again, it's that full house formation, as Jake called it for us, as you've got Jackson trying to bust it straight up the middle. He runs into a whole pack of Blackcats right there, but is able to bounce off to the left side, and on second effort, picks up 5 yards and moves the sticks again.
You know, and Chad, we talked about these safeties flying downhill again. Initial contact, initial hit comes off of quarterback Easton Wood playing safety. But we have these giant earmuffs on up here talking, and you can hear the contact that these guys are bringing to the house and all of these gaps that Jackson Jones is opening up and trying to fill.
They'll run a player off the field to make sure they have 11. And Jackson Jones has one running back with him in the backfield. That's Toomey. He's got 3 wide to the right and a man off to the left. It's a 1st and 10 for Fredericktown. They've got it at the, or for Central, I beg your pardon. They've got it at the Fredericktown 27-yard line and a pass complete on the slant pattern right there. Once again, this is to Barrett Henson. No yak yards on the play and a gain of 6. And Central, I think as much as about anybody you'll see, they really use their running backs as just multi-dimensional weapons because you don't really have a running back or a wide receiver. You just have players in the Central scheme.
Yeah, and whenever you have a spread offense like this, it's easy to get lost with their receivers and not give the attention to the running back as needed.
Central gives it up the middle. There's Toomey. Toomey puts his head down, plows his way forward down to the 11-yard line. Good, tough run. Right there by Toomey. And that's a gain of 6 yards.
Great run and great hit.
Yeah.
I mean, helmet comes flying off, and again, it's the free safety come flying in out of quarterback Easton Wood. Normally, you don't want your quarterback in a situation delivering those types of hits because you are going to have to depend on him on the offensive side.
Toomey, 8 carries for 8 yards in today's game. 5:20 and counting down on the third at a 14-8 lead for Fredericktown. Central's looking for the lead back. They've got a 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line of Fredericktown. Snap back to the quarterback, Jackson Jones. He gets a block. He cuts. He drives it into the end zone. An 11-yard touchdown run by Jackson Jones. And we go back and forth here at Black Cat Valley as Central takes their first drive of the second half, and they take it all the way to the end zone. A rushing touchdown by Jackson Jones. That's his 4th rushing touchdown of the season, and the Rebels now have tied it up at 14. 104 yards rushing for Jackson Jones in this game, and Central kind of wary of their kicking game. Going to go for 2 here and looking for the 2-point lead. So Jackson Jones has that triple I, that Maryland I formation right behind him. The play clock counting down to 6, 5. They're still looking over to the sideline. 3:06 remaining here in the third quarter. We're tied at 14. And when we come back, Central goes for 2, looking for the lead.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upward.
So after the Central timeout, they go for 2. Jake, you're saying this is a particularly big call. Tell us why.
Well, the way that the game's been going, you're not sure how this battle of the defense is going to be won. Right now we're tied at 14-14. We know that Fredericktown with DJ Baca can kick field goals, not something that Central necessarily has in their arsenal. Big play call here on the 2-point conversion.
All right, they're going to pass it. They've got a man wide open in the end zone. Oh, but it's knocked away. What a play. A tremendous recovery by DJ Baca. He was wide open, Jake, and Baca closed the gap and slapped it down.
The only thing on that play is when you do play action like that and you don't have a quarterback that's necessarily the true prospect quarterback, as soon as you see the flash of that guy's helmet turning, put it out over to the back corner of the end zone and let him run under it. Don't ever throw it short with the defender who's lagging, has a chance to get a hand up, but you can't take that away from DJ Baca. That was a tremendous play.
Mike Reeves, you were down on the field to see Central basically bench press their way down the field and into the end zone there.
2 things right now, guys. Number 1, that drive, I love the patience. You're behind. It's the third quarter. You're the favored team, but you stay with it. You stay with what you want to do. You grind it out and bludgeon your way to the end zone. Second thought, though, the angle I just had on that, Jake, you were right on top of it. That has to be 2. That can't be an incomplete pass. You can't let him make that play. It was a great defensive play, but you can't throw that ball there. That should have been 2.
Correct, and that's the one thing, Mike, is you have to make sure that that ball in this situation of a defensive battle, that is a successful completion on a 2-point for your team.
Jake, let's check out that touchdown drive by the Central Rebels to tie this game at 14.
Well, and Central did their job. They marched the ball. They went 10 plays, 67 yards, capped off with Jackson Jones' 11-yard rushing touchdown.
That's an old-time Corey Schweiss drive right there.
That is. That takes you back to the 2010, 2011 days where they were finding themselves until they found Jake Bridges, and they switched everything once they found that young man who is also on the coaching staff.
5:06 remaining here in the third quarter, and Central kind of punches this kickoff up in the air. It looked to me like that was Ethan Ballou that caught that. If I find out different, I'll let you know. Let's thank a few sponsors, and we'd like to thank Southeast Missouri Mental Health, providing mental health services since 1903 in Farmington. They serve over 350 patients, have over 1,000 employees, one of the largest employers in St. Francis County. Find out how you can become a part of that family by scheduling an interview today at dmh.mo.gov or call 573-218-6800. Thank you so much for sponsoring Parkland Sports Live. We're happy to have you aboard. All right, so shots fired. Let's see what the response is here from Fredericktown. Fredericktown has had 2 touchdowns by air. What will they do here? 1st and 10 here for the Blackcats. They've got it their own 46. The snap is mishandled and fumbled by Eastonwood. Mike, is the grass pretty wet down there? I mean, is the ball pretty slick right now?
I wouldn't think that that's an issue. I mean, it was a light rain. There's a little bit of moisture on the field. Now, Jake, I know you alluded to as the night goes on, it gets more slick out there. Maybe not something you can sit and see visibly, but that was another low snap. That wasn't on the ground snap, but it was down around his ankles. And by the time he went down to get it, he put the knee down to retrieve the ball. And, of course, that killed the play. Because those little things like that, the snaps are huge at this point. Because I really don't see a wet field being the issue right now.
We won't call it an injury, but we'll call it a man down right here. And, boy, I was surprised because I was looking at the action, and then you glance 17 yards off the ball, and there's a Central Rebel on the field. And, still, I mean, we're in September, still kind of warm. Got some cramps going here, but is that Karis Foster?
It is, and this is 2 weeks in a row. Foster cramped up in the third quarter. He actually cramped up at the end of the first half last week against Jefferson. So, I mean, unfortunately, the young man is known in the last 2 weeks of me getting to watch him that he does cramp quite often. But one thing I want to allude to here, Chad, and you have to be watching what Steve Williams is doing here. He had a little confusion out of his receivers, which intentional or not intentional, but they had a lopsided, unbalanced side of the offensive line, which is unfortunate because that bad snap, I believe the ball was going to be ran to the strong side of Fredericktown's offensive line where they had not adjusted yet off the Central Rebel defensive line.
So they would have been basically minus personnel.
Correct.
Not as many hats on hats
Correct.
to try to keep Central out of there.
You had what we call a four-man surface because the wing stepped up within the encroachment area to be technically on the line of scrimmage, but they also brought over number 58, I believe. I couldn't see the jersey exactly, but they brought over another offensive lineman where they had a lopsided all friendship that Brian and him have made through the years of coaching with each other or against each other. But you never know what you're in for with a Brian Jones-led Raider team. I mean, it's always – you never know what he's going to bring to the table. He's the type of man that switches one thing from the next until he can find what he needs to work on or improve on.
You can usually count on a physical brand of football, though, that's
you
for
bet.
sure.
And you can always probably count on a short interview or something that is very entertaining that he says.
We're at the 4:59 mark. It's nice to see Karis Foster make his way off the field under his own power. He's kind of limping off, got those cramps going, but certainly a dynamic playmaker for the Central Rebels. So 4:59 remaining in the third. We are tied at 14. The only second half score came just a few minutes ago as Central was able to pound their way down the field and hammer it in for a touchdown to tie the game. However, they were kept out of the end zone on the subsequent two-point conversion on a pass that was just underthrown, but let's not diminish the efforts of DJ Baca, who closed the gap and slapped it away. So Fredericktown football looking at a 2nd and 15 here. They'll bring Proffer in motion left to the right side. Have twins over there, and Wood looks out and throws it in between routes. He had a long flag route and a short out route, and he kind of split the difference there.
I was just getting ready to say before the motion of Proffer led us into that play call, you just lost Foster. What's the chances you try to exploit whoever his backup is coming in without any snaps on the defensive side?
And they've got the speed to do it.
They do. And I really think that was just a miscommunication on where they're throwing. But you have to understand, they're on the far sideline. On the far hash. And whenever you're trying to throw an out route, that's a long distance. You're almost throwing 40 yards to try to hit the out route to your own sideline.
I think as a young high school quarterback, to me, that's the first indication you're going to be a good one. If you can throw a 15-yard out route, the other stuff I think you're going to be able to
Correct.
do. Wood keeps it now. It'll be a straight quarterback keeper and a good cutback for him right there. Gets to the middle of the field, and on a 3rd and 15, picks up 11.
And that's the explosion. But it wasn't only the explosion because he started outside. 2 Central defenders are waiting on him. What a great job to put a foot in the ground, cut it back in, and get those extra 7 or 8 yards to make it a 4th and 5 where they've already faked one punt, but they also haven't went on a hard count yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, does this put them in a position to go for it? They went forward on their side of the field once already, and they have played to try to win tonight.
I think right now, if I would not be surprised if Coach Williams either A, snaps this out of a offensive formation, which they're in right now, or figures out a way to get 5 yards.
Okay, this is Easton Wood. He's also the punter on this team. It's a hard snap. He finds a way to grab a hold of it. He airs it out down the field, and he's got his man. He connects once again with DJ Baca. And this one goes 48 yards to the end zone, and the Blackcats are back out front on a 4th down.
I think we kind of felt that was maybe coming. We just preached about the fact that you got the speed at the receiver position. What about the patience in Easton Wood? I mean, you're 4th and 5. It would have been really easy to tuck that, not knowing whether you're going to get that ball off, and airs it down the field. What a play. I mean, your stats may be different. It was about a 50-yarder. It was absolutely amazing, Chad.
How fun is this one?
And this is one of the best high school football games I've seen in a long time, especially from the broadcast booth.
Well, you called for it, Jake, as the extra point sails up and through. And Fredericktown's on top, 21-14. You called for Fredericktown to try to take the top off, and they did it on a 4th down.
You have to, but you have to get that matchup, and that's by formation. You know, this last one, they had Leandre Catchings out here going against the replacement for Foster. They did a little flip-flop, put Baca. Baca's been in what we would call the H-back or the slot to the left side, and at that position, they'd actually rolled their safeties over, I think because of that was also their punting formation. So they had switched their defensive coverage, and as soon as they do that, they exploit it. Patience on all in, but again, what offensive line work tonight. Great protection, nobody within an arm's length of Easton to throw that ball.
Mike Reeves, you're right in the middle of the Fredericktown players and the Fredericktown fans. How much fire's going on down there?
Now, you can imagine what it's like at this juncture, but I think the message is still the same. It's the 3rd quarter. We haven't won a football game yet. One thing I loved about that play, Jake, you sort of alluded to it, but that's not your typical drop back in the pocket, get yourself 7 or 8 yards. He took that snap within about 3 yards of the line and had to just stand there and hope that offensive line could hold just long enough for him to get the pass away, and almost flat-footed, he flipped that thing down the field. That was a heck of an impressive offensive play. That one caught my eye.
And it started, guys, with a bobble. He had to have the composure to stand in there in the face of that rush, and now here's another bobble as the kickoff return is muffed, but then hustled out to the 22-yard line. Jake, tell us about that touchdown drive by Fredericktown.
Well, it didn't take many plays, and it went 60 yards in 4 plays. The main thing there, though, is we started behind the chains. Bad snap. They go back to 2nd and 15. Easton Wood did a great job, got a 10-yard run, made it manageable, 1 incomplete pass, but then 4th and 5, second time this game, a 4th and 5 situation, Steve Williams' team has marched it or had a fake punt.
That run that you alluded to, Jake, made the 4th down possible, not because, I mean, they gained 48 yards on the touchdown, so it was possible, but you're not going for it on a 4th and 14. So that's the difference.
That's the key factor there was Easton Wood made something out of nothing on that play.
Jackson Jones takes it up the gut right here, and now he cuts to the outside, breaks another tackle, slams his way to the 40-yard line, and a good rugged run by Jackson Jones right there on a gain of 18 yards.
You know, and I think that's what you're in for here is you're going to have to make sure that every single play counts as you're starting to finish out the 3rd quarter. You still have 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter to play. Every single snap has got to be the most important play of the night.
3:34 and counting down in the 3rd. 21-14, Fredericktown leading it here. Jackson Jones after that rush, 122 yards rushing for him. He came into the ballgame averaging 111. Looks for the curl route. It's jumped, and it's headed the other way. A pick by the Fredericktown Blackcats. That was Derek Irby, and he takes it across the 30 near the 20-yard line. He ran it the whole way, and Jake, you could see the back pedal turn into an acceleration, and it was almost like Jackson Jones turns loose of the ball, and you could see in his head, uh-oh.
There's 2 things to read there. Number 1 is the play by Derek Irby to jump that route, but the second thing to remember, though, is this young man who's been buying his time to get a starting spot ever since he was a freshman. The thing to remember, though, is you jump that route so quick, what's to come later in the game? Will they give you a double move? Great play by the young man, but now stay disciplined for the rest of the game. Don't jump that unless the ball's gone. 1st and
10 for the Blackcats, and right now, it feels like the field's tipped a little bit with the Fredericktown team running downhill here. They're just inside of the 20-yard line, looking at a 1st and 10. Fredericktown from our left to our right side, twins to the left side. You've got a tight end and a wing off to the right side. Once again, the snap was bobbled, but here's a shot to the end zone. Oh, mercy! Oh, it was right in the hands of Catchings, who we thought was so aptly named earlier. And he had a chance to haul it in to give his team a 2-touchdown lead. I'm telling you what, Wood put it right on his hands.
He did, and the thing there is I don't think Leandre realized that ball was going to drop to him. So when he jumped, to go get that ball. The ball actually came down to where he could have stood and stuck his hands out and snagged it. I think by him jumping, it gave that corner just that split second to get back in the path to knock that ball out.
Don't you love, though, going for the kill shot one play after the
100%,
turnover?
100%. I mean, you deflate them. If you score right there, you may see a complete shift here.
Sugar huddle that time, and they break the huddle, hustle to the line. And Fredericktown did not like what they got there, so they call a timeout. Let's step aside for just a moment here from Blackcat Valley. 3:08 remaining in our third quarter. Fredericktown leading Central 21-14. Back right after this on Parkland Sports Live.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upwards of 350 patients. With over 1,100 employees, we are the largest employer in St. Francis County.
I think is always in our mission is to get those guys to the place where they can be released in the community and live their lives.
But what makes SMMHC so special?
There's room.
Second and 10 here for the Blackcats. Direct snap to Wood. He's going to take it up the field. He eludes one man trying to struggle through Jackson Jones. It's quarterback on quarterback right there, and it's a good battle. Gain of a yard, maybe two right there for Wood.
Gain on the play, third down.
You know, that's what you have to look at is, again, they got that unbalanced formation. Now Central sees that. So now I start to question if I'm Steve Williams and they're overplaying my unbalanced line, you've got a wing sitting there. Do you have a counterplay to come back in and catch them and over pursuing the football?
Jake, as we look at a 3rd and 9, close to 10 for Fredericktown, and they've got the ball right there at the 20-yard line. You're looking at a 37, 38-yard field goal. What's Baca's range?
Baca, back in the day when he was a sophomore for me, he could hit about 42 yards.
Fredericktown says, let's go ahead and go for the end zone. They shoot this one into the end zone and into double coverage, and it's picked off. Central comes up with the big play this time, and now we will flip it back to the Rebels. That one's Colin Halsey, who was in the right spot out there and went up to grab it. You had two wide receivers to the left side, and Wood, who's been solid and sharp tonight, threw it kind of to the right side instead of the left side, and that's where there was an extra defender.
And I think they've started to realize he likes to go to his left, which is it's a norm though, because as a right-handed quarterback, you're looking to the right side to your receiver so you can draw that safety over. But they know his tendency right now. That's probably the only mistake that young man has made all night in Easton Wood in that one pass.
Okay, Jackson Jones has Central back at it, and it's the quick out route over to the left side. This one's complete and more to go. This is August Black, and August Black is going down the left side of the field here in September, and they will not catch him. Whew! What a play by August Black. One play, 80 yards. And Central's within an extra point or two from Tyner taking the lead here. 2:02 remaining in the third.
You know, and if you're Coach Schweiss, this is the time you need your two-point conversion to work. This is the time. You have not been very successful thus far this year in your two-point conversion. So whatever your best system is, whether it's the Maryland I or the capital I, as you've been saying, Chad, you've got to make sure that you punch this one in. This is a very critical play in this game.
And they will go ahead and go for two. And you've got Jackson Jones and August Black in the backfield. He'll send Black into the slot over to the left side. You've got one wide to the right, a couple of wing backs right there. Jet sweep for Black. Black's looking for the right side of the end zone and gets it across the goal line for two. Central has taken the lead, 22-21. So Central, who played some power football early in the third, uses a huge strike down the field. Before that play, Jackson Jones had thrown for 71 yards on 10 completions On his 11th completion, he gets 80.
He gets 80 yards. But that's the thing. You keep sticking with it. You haven't given up on him throwing the ball, even though you've had some dropped out routes. But they haven't done anything crazy yet. You know, they haven't had to try to push the ball down the field. They've thrown more 5-and-outs this evening than they've done in most of their games. But stay with what you know. Stay with the system that you brought here and just continue to work and chip away at it.
Jake, in the first half, we saw Fredericktown intercept a ball in the end zone and go 80 yards on their drive to take the lead. So here in the second half, we see Central intercepting a ball in the end zone. They go 80 yards to take the lead. So
I think that's going to be the tale we're talking about. This right now has the game, the feel of last team to have the ball. But the one thing you got to remember, if Central has the ball last and they're losing, the kicking game is not a factor. Fredericktown has the ball. If this is the same score at the end of the game, which we've got 14:02 left to play, if this is the same situation, DJ Baca has a strong enough leg to put a field goal through the uprights if needed.
Of course, Mike down on the field, you got a little wind kicking up in the second half too.
Without a doubt, guys, the gustiness of it, it's not consistent. It's not a 15 to 20 mile an hour consistent wind, but at times it's gusting enough. It will affect a pass. It would affect a field goal or extra point attempt, and that's not been the issue tonight at all. Still no rain to speak of. The light rain from earlier, that's about it. But with that being said, the wind could become a factor as this one goes on.
Irby comes back to grab it. Can't get it cleanly. He's going to take it out across the 20. Breaks the tackle. Diving forward. He's at the 24-yard line now. 1:56 remaining in the third frame. 22-21. Central Rebels lead these Fredericktown Blackcats in a game that it's just been competitive, back and forth all night long.
And it's going to continue because now you've got the will to win, but now it's going to be the war of attrition. Who's going to fight through here and who's going to make the bigger gaps, but who's going to make the least amount of mistakes moving forward.
So Easton Wood comes back out. Let's see how he responds to that adversity. Jackson Jones sure did. I thought he threw a great swing route, not to just complete it, but like we talked about for Fredericktown in the first half, to lead his man to get to full speed and head up the field.
And this is a situation where you're probably going to pull something out that they haven't seen or inside run game.
All four wides to the right side, but it's a one-on-one tackle as the pass was completed. But a great open field tackle there by Central. The man on duty, John Boyer.
I'll tell you, Chad, this just comes from the years of being in a box and watching and calling games. If they run that same swing route, the outside receiver, it was a bubble screen to the outside, but if they run that same concept, their number one receiver has got a 10 dig to the inside, and there was nobody in that because of the way the safety played number 2 and the corner broke on the number 3 receiver catching the bubble.
Well, he had blockers out front, too.
He did.
So Twins to the left side, Twins off to the right. They fake the counter. Wood keeps it. And Wood splits a double-team tackle to gain 9 yards. That's a powerful run by Easton Wood.
And it's a kid that's taken abuse all night on every single tackle. He hasn't been tackled lightly yet. Lowers his shoulder, lowers his helmet. He is going to fight for those extra yards 2 times in a row on 2 drives that he's been behind the sticks after first down and wound up picking up 9 or 10 yards on second down runs.
Less than a minute to go here in our third frame. 43 ticks remaining. 22-21, Central leading Fredericktown in this MAFC battle. These Blackcats have come to challenge the defending state champions tonight. One wide to the right, one to the left, running back off to the right side, as well as an H-back there, and it's a straight quarterback keeper as Wood tries to hammer it out across the 35-yard line for a first down. I thought he got there, but
I think he may have it. There's 2 different marks.
He's right on the sideline.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So good gain of 6 yards for Easton Wood. That's just power right. I mean, that's just student body.
And this is something that's going to lead up. Every time they go the wing this side with that extra tackle over, they are running Easton Wood out. Eventually, they're going to catch one of the – these are high schoolers. You have to understand, they've done it. I know they're disciplined in what PJ does, but at some point you're going to catch a kid sleeping and not see the counter or reverse coming back.
24 ticks remaining in the third quarter. One wide to the right, one to the left for these Fredericktown Blackcats. Easton Wood keeps it again. Oh, mercy. He's thumped down that time. It's double team mayhem from the Central Rebels right there. He had nowhere to turn as the hole was filled not only by Jackson Jones but also Max Woods. And I'll tell you what, that time Easton Wood did not get out of the woods on that carry. 22-21, we're at the end of the third. Fredericktown football on their side of the field. They'll have it at their own 36-yard line when we return for the fourth quarter on Parkland Sports Live.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upwards of 350 patients. With over 1,100 employees, we are the largest employer in St. Francis County.
I think it's always in our mission is to get those guys to the place where they can be released in the community and live their lives.
But what makes SMMHC so special?
There's room for advancement, they're good benefits.
When you join SMMHC, you're being welcomed into our family. Find us at dmh.mo.gov.
Well, it's the only game in town. It's the only game in the area on Thursday night football here at Black Cat Valley, and it's a heck of a ball game. 22-21 is our score. The defending state champs, the Central Rebels, leading the Fredericktown Blackcats. But Fredericktown, they didn't just come to show up or compete. They came to win this thing tonight, and they're playing like it. We'll see what happens in the fourth quarter. One more to go.
Hey, there's 12 minutes left. 12 minutes is going to dictate a lot here. Who can gain their composure, who can make the least amount of mistakes. And, if you're this Fredericktown team, you just keep doing what you're doing. You're finding ways, some fourth down conversions, but at the same point, just keep throwing an extra little wrench at Coach Jones and Coach Swice on what you're bringing up formations.
Zach Botbile off the left hip of the quarterback, Wood. And it's a 2nd and 9. They give it to Botbile. Botbile has the corner, puts his head down, and he's ushered out right there at the sticks. It's going to be the spot. Looks like maybe a half-yard shy.
It's about a half-yard shy, but, that was a pretty impressive run by a kid that doesn't have a whole lot of weight on him. We talked earlier about how quick that young man can be. He showed that explosion, getting outside in that D gap, that extra extended gap. But, man, to run through that defender, what a pop from all the way up here to bring him up to a 3rd and 1.
Got to the hole quick and brought a little attitude when he was met. 22-21, Central by a point, 11:47 remaining here in the fourth frame. Let's thank a few sponsors like Nuvo Athletic Representative Tia Cunningham, St. Joe Youth Groups, St. Joe Youth Groups in Farmington, BetterHelp.com. Twins to the left, one running back in the backfield. Wood fakes to Botbile, RPO, got it. The pass complete to Irby, and Irby in a foot race to the 10, to the 5, and finally captured there. Another great slant route, and a gain of 50, another half 100 for the Blackcats.
And that's the great thing about RPOs. You are going to fool people because you just ran 9 yards on the exact same setup, and then you hit Derek Irby. The middle of the field has been the weakness for the Central Rebels in the pass game tonight. DJ Baca's evaded that area, had the 71-yard catch on a slant, and then right there out of the slot again, Derek Irby is right behind Jackson Jones' linebacker spot on the RPO that brought Jackson up to take out the run.
Steve Williams told me that we've got some team speed and we can spread it out, and they've demonstrated that tonight. Straight keeper by Woods, looking for the left corner, plows his way into the end zone. A 5-yard touchdown run. Easton Wood gets it in, and Fredericktown is back on top. 27-22 at the 11:20 mark of the fourth. A great game, just got better.
This is absolutely, for the only game in the area tonight, it's a shame not more people came to watch it because what an electric atmosphere this is in Black Cat Valley tonight.
Well, they're going to hear about the replay on Parkland Sports Live, and they can go back to watch it anytime they want. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to.
I have a feeling.
So the kicker is DJ Baca trying to make this a 6-point advantage. The snap is there, the hold is down, and Baca punches it up and in. 28-22, it's Fredericktown back out front, 11:20 remaining here in the fourth quarter as we take a break on Parkland Sports Live.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
South
Great drive once again by Fredericktown. Each team continues to have a response for the other one. Just fantastic ball game here tonight. 11-13 remaining in the fourth. Long way to go. 28-22, 6-point lead now for Fredericktown. Here's Jackson Jones. You know, I was talking to Coach Schweiss prior to the game as Jones spins this one over to the left side to Karis Foster. Good to see him back in the mix after suffering from some cramps earlier. He gets a 5-yard catch and run right there. And Coach Schweiss, this is hard to believe, said the plan was not to play Jackson Jones on defense this year. That they were going into the season, that was their plan. And finally, Jackson goes to his dad, PJ, and he says, I think I need to be playing linebacker. And he said,
I don't want to leave too much time because Fredericktown showing it can only take one play and they're down the field.
Got a coaching question for you next. Here's another 1st and 10 here for Central. They've got lead blockers out in front of their quarterback, Jackson Jones, who's back in the gun. He's got a running back, and that's Karis Foster to his right. Gets it to Karis. Karis touched to the line of scrimmage, dances around it, hit again, plows forward. He's got a 2-yard gain. Why is it that they always talk about offensive lines wearing out the defensive line instead of the other way around?
Well, I think, number one, as an offensive lineman, you know what your snap count is, you know what the play is, so you actually have that little bit of extra advantage. And you talk about wearing them down. You always say that as a coach that likes to run the ball. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to run the ball in the fourth quarter and control the clock in a tight game like this, but it's also knowing the play. I mean, you've got that extra mental step to know exactly what your rule and assignment is. 2nd and 9, jet sweep handoff to Karis Foster once again. He's trying to get that right edge. Got there for a moment. He gained 7. It'll bring down a 3rd and 2 for these Rebels. Foster tonight, 8 carries for 27 yards, holding him just over 3 per carry. That's a win for the Blackcat defense so far. You bet. I mean, there's been a lot of victories out of Fredericktown tonight. I mean, no discredit to either team either way, but Fredericktown has been the more impressive, elusive team in everything they've managed to do tonight. Foster came in averaging 11.5 a carry. Now they'll give it up the gut. And here's a big rush by the quarterback, Jackson Jones. That was almost like a QB counter right there, wasn't it, Jake, on the gain of 23? Yeah, and I mean, they've been hitting the left side A-gap quite a bit. They've used that play action. So anytime you get a jet play action, usually you're going back to the opposite side of the offensive line or where the motion came from. A lot of times you'll catch that defense sliding over, which gives you a natural cutback lane, or they'll run a wrap back to the jet side because they know it's a mind game, a chess battle between the offense and defensive line shifts. 9:06 remaining in the fourth, 28-22. Fredericktown leads. Jackson Jones now with 17 carries, 152 yards rushing for him from that quarterback spot. He's got trips off to the left. He's got one man off to the right. He's got Toomey, the running back, off of his left hip, but a flag before the play gets underway. I think they're going to pick it up and say that Coach Schweiss got a timeout. We'll take one with him. 9:06 remaining in the fourth. 28-22, Fredericktown
leading Central. We're back after this on Parkland Sports Live.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upwards of 350 patients. With over 1,100 employees, we are the largest employer in St. Francis County.
I think is always in our mission.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career?
Central Rebels continue to move the sticks as they march into Fredericktown territory. They've got it at the Fredericktown 35-yard line. Swing pass over to the left side to Barrett Henson. Henson looking for that left corner. First down and more. He's got 12 yards before being shut down by Fredericktown. But Central's, they're starting to kind of reestablish that line of scrimmage, Jay.
Yeah, and you can tell they're wearing that defensive line out from Fredericktown. But here's the one thing I want to allude to, Chad, and I'm a big component of the chess match to look down the field. Central's losing. They have plenty of time on the clock, but every time they keep running these screens, there's no extra help out there. Don't be surprised if Easton Wood or Dane Sensel leak down a little too much and they hit a go route off of one of these pump screens.
There's that Maryland eye Jake told us about, and they give it to the deep back, and that's Barrett Henson. But there's nowhere for him to go. That corner was shut down as he bounced it to the outside by Mason Proffer.
You know, and that's something, if you can take Foster, as you said, he was averaging 11 yards a rush coming in. He's less than 3 now. At the same point, that is a victory. Build off your moral victories. Build off these small things. Get the ball back, shut them down, and try to run your 4-minute offense. Win this football game.
2nd and 12, 8.5 remaining in the fourth. 28-22, Fredericktown leading Central. Central football, Toomey, the running back. They'll flip it out to the slot back that time. That's another completion to Barrett Henson. They love to roll him out of the flat. Just move that stick down there a little bit further. It was a loss of 2 on first down. That was a gain of 7.
You know, and that's one of the hardest things there is, Chad, is if you're that middle linebacker and you're assigned to that back out, he's already got a step on you by the time you identify that it's truly an RPO or a play action to get him out of the backfield, because you're always leveraging that back hip to try to play him inside out.
Jake Jackson came in averaging 150 yards passing and 111 on the ground. Tonight he's got 152 on the ground and a 176 through the air. So another great game by Jackson Jones as he plows through the middle of this defensive front, and it's a rugby scrum as they continue, in the words of Hank Stram, to matriculate the ball down the field, and it's a gain of 10. Boy, that looked like a gain of 2 or 3.
It did, and they just kept pushing the pile. Once Jackson gets lost in there with those lead blockers, this big offensive line, they just do their job. You said it's a rugby scrum. They're just putting their heads down, locking shoulders, and just driving.
162 yards rushing now for Jackson Jones. You said it earlier, Jake. Who's going to get the ball last? That may be the question here.
I think that may be the key factor, you know, because every time Central, if they do score here, they're down 6 now. They go for 2. They're up 2. The leg of DJ Baca may be the deciding factor in this game.
Or a tie game could work out the same way. Direct snap. And there's Jackson Jones. Jackson Jones puts his head down, and he hammers his way inside of the 5, gets some help from his lineman, closing in on the goal line, and not quite there. But it's a gain of 8, and they're looking right at the goal line now. 170 yards rushing for Jones. 2nd and goal here. Well, the offensive line has been impressive for Central here in the second half, particularly coming out in the start of that third quarter where they just pounded the ball down the field, and then here.
And you can tell, I mean, they're wearing on this defensive line, but at the same point, you've got to make a stand here. This is where the ball security for Central comes into play, but if you're Fredericktown, strip the ball.
Jackson Jones under center. Quarterback sneak, needs a yard. Tucks in behind that center. Did he get there? Yes. Caden Boren, Dakota Bowers, Jason Threckeld, Hayden Carver, Silas Richardson. 5 guys combining for 6 points right there as Jones takes it in on the quarterback sneak. Got just a couple of yards, but he got 6 points. His second rushing touchdown of the game. And we're now tied at 28 with 6:14 remaining in the fourth. An impressive drive by these Central Rebels. And how many drives do we have left in this ball game with 6:14 remaining?
At this rate, Chad, it's unknown. There's 6 minutes. It could be 6 different drives accumulate here.
And these are the type of games that Corey Schweiss loves nothing more than that clock-draining drive. They'll go with the Maryland eye again. And this is where they snuck it in. They've got Karis Foster dotting that capital I in the backfield. But instead, they'll go heavy. And did they get there? They did not! To say that was a huge stop by the Fredericktown defense would be an understatement because they just kept 5'11", 240-pound Hayden Carver out of the end zone to preserve the tie. 6:14 remaining in the fourth. Fredericktown football when we come back after this on Parkland Sports Live.
BMW Convenience next to Little Caesars in Fredericktown has everything you need. Gas, snacks, a deli, and great food. Pizza, wings, Bosco sticks, chicken tenders, and more. At BMW Convenience, you can get a burger or chicken sandwich, a bag of chips, and any size fountain drink for just $4.59. That's $4.59. With friendly and quick service, you can get in and out and back on the highway. BMW Convenience, right at the 6772 exit in Fredericktown.
We welcome you back to Blackcat Valley here in Fredericktown. 6:14 remaining in the fourth quarter. Central Rebels have just tied it up 28-28. There was no question that if you hit Central in the mouth, they'd respond. That's what champions do, and they have a championship program. But Fredericktown has answered every bell as well. And we find ourselves tied now with just over 6 to go.
I mean, it really, we alluded to this at halftime. This could be a game that the last team with the ball has the chance to win this ball game. Every single time in this football game that Fredericktown's back's been against the wall, they have found an answer either through interceptions or touchdowns down the field.
Here's Nick Fowler, just punches it over the front line of the defense, and it's taken by Mason Proffer. He doesn't have any room to run. Jake, tell us about that touchdown drive. That tied it up for Central.
It was a long one. It went 11 plays for 75 yards before it was capped off by Jackson Jones on a 1-yard rushing touchdown. And the main thing, as you alluded to in our timeout, Coach Schweiss loves to milk time off that clock. He loves to take time off. If you're Coach Williams here, knowing that you've got 61 yards to the end zone here, what do you do with as much time that's on the clock? Can you find a way to get first downs, keep kids in bounds, to take as much time off that clock? Because we know if Central gets the ball back, they can be explosive down the field.
And Fredericktown has scored in large part tonight, courtesy of the big play. They haven't necessarily been a team that takes 6 minutes off to make the drive. But, boy, you know that the coach would love nothing more than that. Let's take a look at the matchups tomorrow night around the area. And on Parkland Sports Live, we'll be at North County. Greg Allen, I'll have the call along with Greg, or along with Jake and also Mike Reeves. Is Jason Lowry going to be there tomorrow? No. We'll have different engineers tomorrow. So we'll have that one on Parkland Sports Live. Farmington going to Poplar Bluff in the SEMO North. Festus is at Windsor. Hillsborough playing Washington. Jefferson traveling to Herculaneum. Perryville and St. Vincent, that's always a fun one. Crystal City plays Bayless. St. Genevieve against Kennett. Potosi and Valley. That could be fun. St. Pius, Knob Noster, Fox at Rittenauer, and Seckman goes to Northwest to Cedar Hill. 6:10 remaining in regulation. And Fredericktown has the football. We're tied at 28. Fredericktown and Central. Fredericktown hands this one up the gut. Wood handing it over to Botbile, who curled from a wingback position up the middle of the field and gained 6 yards. Boy, Fredericktown's offensive front kind of reestablished the line of scrimmage right there.
They did, and they did a great job. They ran behind senior Alec Bowman, who did a great job with Ethan Marler from that wing position. And again, you're getting the unbalanced line. It'll be interesting to see if they come to the strength side or if they counter to the weak.
5:40 and ticking here in the fourth quarter. They go to Botbile again. Botbile tries to take this one up the middle again, and the ball is loose. It came loose on the spin I don't think he was down, and Central's got the football. All right. Mark that down as another pivotal play in this ball game. Justin Robinson comes off the bottom of the pile with that ball. Botball got kind of caught in spin cycle, and the ball was punched free. Credit that Central defense, who had two hats at the point of attack right there.
I was just getting ready to say, watching Zach Botball run that first one, this is a time as a coach, you make sure you preach to your kids ball security in everything we do. And he didn't do anything wrong. The ball was just a little bit off the body as he got spun down, and the second defender's hat popped it out.
So Central just scored the equalizer on their last possession, and Jake, they are a team that can soak that clock. They've got 5.5 minutes remaining. They've got just under half the length of the field to take the lead. Got it at the Fredericktown 46-yard line. Jackson Jones with 170-plus yards rushing. He's going to flip this over to the left flat. That's to Henson. Henson, though, grabbed in the backfield and spun out of bounds. Tremendous open field tackling right there by Fredericktown. Caleb Feltz, the first man there.
You know, and that's the first time they have absolutely demolished and gang tackled a swing pass. So now that Corey has seen, they're going to fly downhill. When Jackson Jones opens his shoulder for that bubble, you have to be careful if you're that play side safety to not let the number 1 or number 2 slip deep on a go route.
So are you looking for over-the-top help coverage, or are you just telling your corners don't get beat deep?
Well, right now you got to tell your outside linebacker, you got to press. When you see him open and you see your guy go to initiate block, you have to run through him, don't run by him. You run through him, ball may go downfield.
2nd and 10, just about 11. And Central flipping this one over the top to Barrett Henson. He was behind the defense and couldn't haul it in. Oh, they popped him over the top. Haven't seen many of those attempts tonight, and perhaps that's why Henson was so open, and he just couldn't come up with it.
And that was exactly what we just talked about. Number 3 came out, showed his back to the sideline, opened up for fast screen pass, and number 1 went right by the corner. You've got to stay to your rules. If he catches that, it's nothing but green grass ahead.
It's the type of game, Jake, that Central really doesn't want to be caught in a 3rd and long.
Exactly.
And here they are in a 3rd and 11, forced into an obvious passing down. It looked like a passing play, but it never developed as flags went in the air before the play got off. And this is going to turn a 3rd and 11 into a 3rd and 16 for the Rebels.
You know, and that's not what you want right now. You haven't really pressed the field. We know we can. We watched Jackson last week. He put some balls on dimes into the end zone on corner routes. But you're in a situation right now that you haven't really pressed the field. You're in the 4th quarter. He's a little banged up from 3 quarters of offense and defense. This is one of those that you maybe try to get these yards back on a hard count and get it back to a 3rd and 10.
You talk about a lift for a defense, though, Jake. A team that pitched the shutout for the first time in 5 years last week turns the ball over on a potential go-ahead drive. And if they can come up with a stop right here, that would be huge. And they forced it incompletion, and they forced Central into a 4th and 16.
You know, now I truly feel there's enough time on this clock. If you can make it stand, you don't have to do anything crazy here. You know, in all honesty, there's 5 minutes, 8 seconds left on this clock. If you punt, you just have to play stellar defense, which is something that Coach Jones does. He will find a way to get his guys ready. I think they've been hit in the mouth. They've responded, but they got hit again. What are you going to do about it?
Jones lines up to run the offensive play. Now he'll step back in the punt formation and boot it away as Fredericktown plays safe right here and lets the ball roll down to the 20-yard line and now the 19. I'm trying to think ahead a little bit, Jake, and I'm trying to suppose, and I can't come up with anything. Maybe you can. Who overtime favors which one of these teams? Because I can't really come up with an answer.
I mean, right now, with high school rules, for those who don't know, you're on the 25-yard line and you're going back and forth. You know, each team's going to get a possession. I really think right now you've got to be extremely smart with Coach Williams. Ball protection, ball security is your number 1 aspect. If you can get a first down, you start to milk this clock and go into your 4-minute offense to try to get down to about the 20 to maybe set up that 37-yard field goal for DJ Baca. Take your chance on a field goal if you get close enough. If you miss, you go to overtime.
We'll head down to the field and check in with Mike Reeves after this one. So Fredericktown turns it over on its last drive. Ball security, of course, paramount here. And they'll certainly be mindful of that as Easton Wood slams through the line and gets a rugged 5-yard gain right there. What are you seeing, Mike?
I wanted to let you know that if we come down to a field goal attempt, which again, we're thinking Fredericktown more likely than Central to try a field goal, the rain is basically a did very little to no rain. Field is a little bit wet, nothing extreme. The wind has let up just a little bit. So if they were kicking the field goal right at this moment, your conditions aren't going to play a whole lot into it, and they would love to have an opportunity to kick a field goal with about 3 seconds in this one.
4:20 remaining and counting down in the fourth quarter. Jake, Fredericktown, of course, wants to score, but are you also kind of thinking, as Wood runs out of bounds, by the way, that no matter what you do, you don't want to give the ball back to Central here?
I do. I think you milk this. I know he had to run out there. We have an injured Central player, but I really think you're just trying to keep this clock running. Keep milking it. Get to your first downs. You're going to leave the ball most likely in your best athlete's hand at this point, which is Easton Wood. But with that also being known that he's probably going to be the guy holding on to the ball, you may get a chance to take a shot when or if you need it, but it's got to be in a situation that it's not known to be a passing down.
Looks like some more cramps on the field for a Central player, and during that, we'll let you know about Mark Toady and Jason Lowry. How about those guys that started the Parkland podcast? And join them every Monday morning for the podcast. They cover local news, sports, events, and birthdays every week, plus bring you the most interesting and compelling interviews. Join them for episode 15 as Mark and Jason interview cool people in the Parkland. So they will not be interviewing me, but they will be interviewing other people. But check out the Parkland podcast for the cool people and Jason and Mark. All of the above right there on the Parkland podcast. Good to see Central's Cullen Halsey coming off the field on his own power. He kind of limps over there, and we've all had cramps, man. I mean, when they hit you, you're immobile, but you usually can recover from them and get back out there, usually.
Yeah, and hopefully that's all it is, because right now he's played a pretty pivotal part on both sides of the ball for this team. So, again, another guy goes down, there's a sub coming in. Is this your chance to maybe take your shot? Maybe not. I mean, you're at a 1st and 10. Why not? You've got 3 more downs. This is probably going to be 4-down territory regardless where you're at on the field.
So that was a 4-yard carry, by the way, lost in all that by Easton Wood. He's got 69 yards rushing, and they are going to keep it in his hands. He's looking to the left side and runs out of bounds again. He's got another maybe 4-yard gain. The clock is stopped, but if you gain 4 or 5 yards every time, that doesn't really matter. It won't come into play.
It really doesn't. If you're gaining 4 yards a pop, I mean, you're doing your job. The only thing is, now they know you're running to the sideline. Is there a cutback lane now? Cut it back in, maybe find the middle of the field instead of continuing. The one thing, they keep running to the short side of the field, the strong side by formation. There's going to come a time that they're going to find that weak side and go in wide side of the field.
Only 6 seconds, though, going off the clock on that play. We're looking at a second, you could say a short 6 or a long 5. Now they'll flip it over the middle on that slant route and complete it once again. A great stop route that time. And the pass was just a shade behind DJ Baca, but Jake, he settled down in there, stopped and reached back and hauled it in.
I think you're in a situation right now where you don't continue the route. You find open space and you just let Easton put it on you. If you continue to run these routes, the ball may have a little bit of moisture on it. You want to make sure that it's a for sure catch and pass situation. Find open grass, settle, catch it.
4 catches for Baca tonight. How many yards? You want to guess?
A lot.
153 on 4 catches. Have a night, young man. Wood keeps it. Does he have the corner here? He's got enough for another good gain. And this is a hustle around the left side, good for 7 yards.
Yeah, at some point, though, when here comes some bigger girth on the defensive line coming in for Central, but at some point you got to understand they're doing this. When are you going to send Jackson Jones on a fly instead of getting him in the backfield? He's taking a really bad angle right now. He's getting behind the actual block, filling his gap. He needs to scrape the line. That could make the difference, though, for that cutback lane.
Fredericktown into Central territory here. 3:31 remaining in the fourth. The clock is stopped as Wood ran out of bounds on the play. He's got 2 wides to the right. He's got a wing and a running back off to his left, and they'll go with that counter play, something we thought we might see, and it's Ethan Marler, and that's good for a first down. Jake, another gain of 5, another good gain, but also a play perhaps just to keep Central honest on that edge.
Correct. The only bad thing is that was a perfect time to call it. They've ran it 4 times on this drive, but we have a flag, so I don't know if there was a illegal motion or not, but if it stands, tremendous play call because they are getting that over pursuit of the defense.
Flag was in the backfield, customarily going to go against the offense, and they're actually going to call a legal procedure right there. Fourth penalty for Fredericktown for 40 yards. So that'll set them back instead of, well, it would have been a first down. It would have been a first down at the 41, and now this is going to push Fredericktown all the way back into their territory at their own 48, but still only second down and 8 here.
Correct. It's a manageable down. You don't like it because you just moved the ball backwards because it was from the spot foul, not from the end of the foul. So unfortunately, you are back to about 2nd and 7.
Pump fake to Botbile, a flip over the middle. Here's Baca out in front of everyone. Some hand fighting, offense and defense. Baca thinks it's going to go against the defense on the pass interference. Let's see what the play call is here.
Chad, this can go both ways. Both guys had extended arms.
Yep.
I don't know who made first contact for him to see the foul.
There was hand fighting. There was a push off. I don't know who got the better of it.
I really don't know. I mean, I can usually be pretty close on my judgment call. I am an absolute 50-50 because I don't know who initiated the first shove off.
That's a tough call. Which way is it going to go? It's going to go against Central. Okay, I know there's an adage, and I heard Mike Reeves allude to it, right? Of passing the ball. Only 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad. But you're dismissing the 4th possibility.
Well,
a penalty against the defense.
Correct.
On a huge down and distance like we had here.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now that if DJ catches that ball, he's in because the DB was out of position on that. So this is one of those times as a coach, you're not happy with the 15-yard first down, but at the same point, you didn't give up a touchdown. You're still going to make them earn their 6 points. You didn't give them a gimme.
8 penalties, 65 yards against Central. 3:14 remaining here in the 4th quarter. Wood, Easton keeps it. He's got a little seam, and he's punched it out for a first down and more. It's a gain of 14 yards, but a late flag, a face mask, or maybe a bad block usually is what you're going to have there.
Yeah, and I'll probably say that this is going to be a face mask because as Easton put his left foot in the ground to cut it back in, the outside linebacker over pursued, and I think he got a big chunk of face mask, which turned Easton's head sideways. But we keep alluding to this. The clock's got to tick. You can't leave any time on the clock for Central here.
Let's head to the field. Mike Reeves, what did you see there?
So on the pass interference call before that, and I think there was the face there. But I think pass interference call because the receiver, I think he had the better of the angle in play, and I think the officials looked at it as the defender trying to prevent what looked like my 6. Yes, there was hand fighting both ways, but I think because the receiver gained the advantage for about 2 steps, I think that's call went the way it did.
Gotcha. 3 minutes and counting down here in this 4th quarter. We're tied at 28. It's a burner.
Now, this is an amazing football game, Chad.
Here's Easton Wood now. Gets the snap, rushes the left side, cuts back, bowls his way forward. He's across the 15 to the 14, and it's another gain of 5 yards. And Jake Whitener, we've alluded to it a couple of times as Easton Wood has just reached the century mark rushing. We've alluded to it a couple of times. 2 drives in the second half. The Central offensive line basically took over the game. We're seeing that right now from Fredericktown.
And you're seeing they keep running behind the same 2 cats. They're running behind senior Alec Bowman and senior Ethan Marler on that. And it says something about the trust you have in them that if you're the defense, you see that formation, it's one of 2 things. It's Easton Wood outside or it's Ethan Marler back through counter. But they keep sticking to it, and they're making Central find a way to stop it.
Let's give you the names of these offensive linemen. You got Ethan Ballou out there, Ethan Francis, Shane Snodgrass, 155-pound sophomore. You've got Donnie Lout the 4th, Alec Bowman all out there helping out. You know, I always in my career broadcasting, because your linemen don't get as much credit, okay? Because they don't get the carries, they don't get the stats, but I just always want to point those guys out, because when do they get their name called? When they hold, right? Or when they jump early. Yep. But the linemen, man, they're the guts of the machine in here. They're what allow you to go down the field.
And for so many years, ever since kind of the spread offense and that quick attack came, you always heard about the skill guys. You date this thing back 15 years where it was a strong power conference around here, and you had those linemen. Everyone knew those linemen because you knew you were running behind number such and such. You knew how big of a physical specimen they were. And once the spread offense came in, it kind of negated having those big aggressive linemen. tonight's been nothing short of an amazing battle in the trenches.
2:07 remaining in the fourth quarter. We're tied at 28. Fredericktown and Central. And that's the other thing we talked about, Jake, is that you get the ball with 6 minutes left. You want to eat that. You don't want to give it back to Central. And right now they're doing just that, eating clock and eating yardage. Whistle by the officials.
And they had to pull Easton Wood out. He has blood on his elbow, so we have a different quarterback in right now for this play.
So a different quarterback out there. And he's got to tuck this thing and run it to the left side. It's Cole Starkey in the ball game. Oh, what a inopportune time to lose. Who's kind of hasn't been Mr. Everything, but he's been pretty studly tonight.
He's been the stout of the offense. Got it wrapped, getting him back in. You know, the great thing is they still have the ball. They didn't lose any yardage. It was a rush for 0 yards. The main thing here is you've got to make sure that whatever you do, as we see the rain start to trickle down a little bit, you have got to make sure that this is a for sure grab on whatever you're doing. Hands on ball, protect it. Maybe even if they can get the play off, I don't know if they can. They may have to call their last time out here.
They should. 4-3, and they will call their last time out. Let's talk a little bit. We're not rooting for either team, guys, but I'm going to say right now, I'm happy to see Eastonwood back in the game. And I would say the same thing had Jackson Jones been forced to go out, and then if he would come back on. I want every opportunity for both of these teams to be their best, and that's the way that it should be decided, in my opinion.
Correct. I mean, it's been a slugfest tonight. You want to see whoever wins or whoever unfortunately loses, because you don't want to see anybody lose this game. This has been a great football game to be a part of. But you want to see every single starter possible that started the game, finished the game, so you know that it wasn't this one key factor, that one key play. Even though it was a schematic X and O guy, you do want to take advantage of the weakness of another team. But you want to see this one end with all 11 that started it on the field to see who really dictates the win.
Let me tell you about The Barn, an emerging media company in Farmington. Features The Tippy Joe Show, vulgar display of podcasts, birds and swords, and so much more. Like and subscribe for notifications. The Barn Podcast Network. 1:33 remaining in the fourth, and we're tied at 48. It's a third and a long 6 or a short 7 for the Fredericktown Blackcats, and Wood's going to take it around the right side. He's looking for the corner. He cuts back. He dives forward. He's got the first down, but a flag on the play. And a Central lineman down in the backfield, and it looks like this one's going against the Blackcats.
You know, and that's the one thing you don't want. You're in a situation now, you were at a third and long 6, third and short 7. You get just a few yards. I mean, you're in maybe easy chipping field goal range. Now you're going to be talking, you know, a fourth and plus. You know, you're behind the chains now. Well, going to replay the down. But now you've got to get back up there. You've got to get back up into a situation where if you are going to depend on DJ Baca's leg, it's a for sure easy chip shot, not something that he has to push.
But what's the other thing it did? Stop the clock, right?
The clock. The one thing we keep talking about, you want that clock to go. You don't want Coach Schweiss to have any say in the outcome of this. You want this to be sitting at 0.3 or 3 seconds left to where you're kicking a field goal.
$1:23 on a 3rd and 15 for Fredericktown, and they look to pass it. A fly route down the middle of the field and in and out of the hands of DJ Baca. It looked like they ran the right play, and it looked like they had the right pass. There were some disruptors out there. There were some rebels in the area, but there was a chance at a score there.
And the sad thing is, I think he was starting to play almost a little defense there. He saw the hands go up at the defender, and I think he was almost trying to expect something else to come through, but that ball went right through the defender's hands, right into the breadbasket.
Can you kick this thing in the rain to win it? This is going to be a punch now. You're talking 43 yards, Jake.
As a sophomore,
in the rain.
As a sophomore, when I had him, I would have tried him at 43.
A minute and 14 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter. And now a legal procedure against Fredericktown. You can't kick it from 48.
They're out. They're out of timeouts. That's the bad thing. They had to use it on that last drive trying to get the play in. Otherwise, they call it. You are sitting at a 43. You're 48. I mean, you have to understand, though, if that ball goes in the end zone, it's touchback. If that ball is live out here, you got to make sure somebody's covered.
They're going to kick it from 47. DJ Baca lining up to kick this thing from 47 yards to put his team on top. with 1:14 left, and he swings a mighty right leg and sends it long enough, but wide left. He hammered that thing. Oh, he had plenty of distance. Good effort, young man.
You bet.
But he couldn't split the uprights, and now Central has 68 seconds to try to win this thing.
I mean, you tip your cap to him. That had plenty of distance, and from that length, though, I mean, it could have been just a fuzz off on his aiming point. It was barely outside that left upright. Plenty of leg. Probably could have went from 50.
It would have been good from 50 had it been straight enough. You bet. That was a monster kick. Wow. I don't know if Mike can hear us down there. He might have had a good look at that thing. He said he was going to go to the end zones to check it out.
Guys, maybe 3 to 4 feet wide left, maybe that. It was really close, and it actually hung there for just what little breeze it is from right.
That close.
Boy, did he ever get a lot into it. No doubt the distance was there. That was about as close as you. Now what does Central do?
I like the courage of Steve Williams to attempt it.
By all means, what faith you have in your kid. You know, you don't even second guess. You put him out there, even with the illegal procedure, and you go.
Jackson Jones swings it to the left side, trying to utilize the short passing game. 5 broken tackles, but it doesn't amount to anything. Swarms of cats around the ball. That time, it was complete to Foster, and it's for a -3. Fredericktown has seen that before, Jake.
Yes, they have. But here's the one thing we talked about, Chad. The one time they didn't pay attention to it, they leaked a guy down the field. You know Coach Schweiss has enough things in his bag of tricks. Probably wasn't expecting to pull it out week 3. You're going to have to see something to get this ball down the field.
No timeouts left by Fredericktown, only one by Central. 32 seconds remaining in regulation. They'll air it out down the middle of the field, and this one's incomplete. I'm so glad that Jason and Mark started the Parkland podcast. And I'm so glad that we talked about doing some football on this thing, because my first game this year, Parkland Sports Live, this is a burner. This is the best game I've seen in a long time.
You bet. I mean, and it's been quite a few years since we've had one that we may be looking at an overtime game. I'm not discrediting what Central's going to do here.
But not only the quality of the game and the competitiveness, the defending state champions who've dominated this team for years and years. And Fredericktown standing up to it and answering every call, and Central coming back.
You bet. It's the true David versus Goliath matchup here.
Here's a run up the gut, and Corey Schweiss says, let's play overtime, right? Basically.
I think that's what you're alluding to. You're not going to force anything. I think that last pass to Foster, he saw there just wasn't enough touch on the ball from Jackson Jones to get there.
Gain of 5, 4th down.
So a 5-yard gain right there. Was that Jones on the carry?
It was Jones on the carry, and
had a hard time seeing
Chad,
that
he's
one.
getting up real slow. Look at him walking towards the sideline.
But I'll say the same thing that I said for Easton Wood. I want everybody to be healthy and finish this game. And 48 wasn't enough to determine it. We are headed to overtime. We'll step aside for just a moment, and we're back with your extra frame on Parkland Sports Live.
BMW Convenience next to Little Caesars in Fredericktown has everything you need. Gas, snacks, a deli, and great food. Pizza, wings, Bosco sticks, chicken tenders, and more. At BMW Convenience, you can get a burger or chicken sandwich, bag of chips, and any size fountain drink for just $4.59. That's $4.59. With friendly and quick service, you can get in and out and back on the highway. BMW Convenience, right at the 6772 exit in Fredericktown.
Looking for top quality custom sportswear and activewear? Look no further than Nouveau Athletic. Nouveau Athletic blends innovative design with affordability, revolutionizing activewear for athletes, teams, and enthusiasts alike. From affordable, high-quality team practice wear to specialty sublimated activewear, Nouveau Athletic has grown to become a leader in sportswear and the industry, especially in cheer. Nouveau Athletic, where passion meets quality in every stitch.
For Nouveau Athletic custom apparel locally, contact Tia Cunningham at 573-701-6015.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upwards of 350 patients. With over 1,100 employees, we are the largest employer in St. Francis County.
I think is always in our mission is to get those guys to the place where they can be released in the community and live their lives.
But what makes SMMHC so special?
There's room for advancement, they're good benefits.
When you join SMMHC, you're being welcomed into our family. Find us at dmh.mo.gov.
BMW Convenience next to Little Caesars in Fredericktown has everything you need. Gas, snacks, a deli, and great food. Pizza, wings, Bosco sticks, chicken tenders, and more. At BMW Convenience, you can get a burger or chicken sandwich, a bag of chips, and any size fountain drink for just $4.59. That's $4.59. With friendly and quick service, you can get in and out and back on the highway. BMW Convenience, right at the 6772 exit in Fredericktown.
Looking for
We're headed to overtime here in Blackcat Valley. We're tied at 28 after regulation. Central and Fredericktown. And I need a hefty drink after this one. Okay, no, a soft drink. I could go to BMW Convenience next to Little Caesars in Fredericktown at the 67 exit. I could get some snacks and some great food, pizza, wings, Bosco sticks, chicken, bag of chips, any size fountain drink for just $4.59. Going to overtime, Jake. The adage is you want to play defense first. Why is that?
Well, I mean, you get to counteract whatever the other team does. So each team's going to get the ball here, starting at the 25-yard line. And if the team in front of you only kicks a field goal, then you score a touchdown, you win. You shut the team out, you get them to turnover on downs, and you get the ball at the 25. You can do whatever you need to put points on the board and walk away. The one thing to remember, though, is the only thing that's a factor here is the play clock. The coin toss is going to determine, do you want defense or offense first? Or you have your option, this is kind of a unique one, you have your option to defend in the end of the field. So if you've noticed something on the field that you didn't like the student section, or
there could be an advantage in the kicking game if there's a wind coming. Yeah,
there's tons of factors to decide here. You have to add those extra little bits in, but if you win, you let the other team decide it. You choose defense so you can make sure you're setting yourself up to know exactly what you have to do with the ball whenever you have it.
Let's go down to the field now with Mike Reeves. It almost looks, Mike, from here like there's an emotional reset by these squads.
And I think they're both fully prepared and ready to play in this setup that will be overtime. I don't think either of these teams has had an issue tonight where they've ever gotten rattled. I don't think either one's ever felt confident they had the game won. It's been too close for that. I think they're both ready for this. Guys, you mentioned the wind, the rain, the weather, and then the kicking game. Let's be honest, right now only these teams has that or has shown the threat of having that, and now that's another reason that if you were Fredericktown, you get a defensive stop. You've already shown your kicker's got the leg to make a field goal of long distance, and if you get a defensive stop to start overtime, you can win the game with that field goal. Central really right now has not shown, in 3 games this year, guys, they've not shown any inclination at all that they have a kicking game that could kick a field goal in an overtime situation. So I think that could play into an awful lot in this last session.
There was a close game in 2019. It was 26-14 that year. That was a good competitive contest. There was a close game in 2015. 30-20 was the final score of that one. There have been some good competitive games. There's been an overtime game in the last decade plus. In 2012, Central won an overtime thriller, 20-14. So these Fredericktown Blackcats trying to overcome not only a great football program tonight, but a bit of history as well.
You bet. I mean, you're putting a lot of weight on yourself to either, know that you can compete with the defending state champ. So if this doesn't go their way tonight, you get to take home at least that knowing, man, we're improved. We're a much improved Blackcat team. But on the flip side, you're one play away from beating the defending state champs that you haven't beat in a long time.
Nobody's beat him in a while.
And that's exactly right.
I asked Steve Williams earlier this week on the Barn on Knuckleball show. I said, it's been a long time since you've had a winning record. It's been a long time since you've done certain things, since you beat Central. Do you embrace the history or do you ignore it? You say, no, we're focused only on this team and what we're doing. I thought he gave a perfect answer. He says, we want to talk about the history that we break or make. And they've got a chance right here to do that.
You bet. And Steve's a great guy. I mean, I like him better now as at the helm of Blackcats than whenever he was beating me in district championships as a player back when he was at Cape Central. But, man, what a change, what a culture change, what a shift, what a tremendous job that this coaching staff is doing to get this team prepped for overtime.
Fredericktown will have the ball first. Easton Wood on the field, deploys 4 to the left side. He ran almost exclusively there at the end of the fourth quarter, and he's got a big gainer right here as he rips it across the 20 to the 17-yard line on a gain of 8. The Fredericktown offensive line has looked solid in the last few minutes, Jake.
And I really think, Chad, they keep running the same play to the same short side of the field. The one thing that we're going to have to keep in mind here, Jackson Jones saw it, Jackson Jones jumped it. He's got to make sure he sees it to make sure this wing counter doesn't come into play.
And Jackson Jones came off the field slowly on the final play of regulation, so it's just nice to see him out there. The official's going to get down to the line of scrimmage and communicate over to the Fredericktown sideline. You've got Bot Bile in the backfield with Easton Wood. They've gone basically Easton Wood left has been the play. About 12 out of the last 15. And this one is Easton Wood left as he crosses the 15-yard line down to the 12 and move the sticks for the Cats.
And that's a great spot to have the ball because you can still get a first down inside that 5-yard line to set yourself up. If you get just past it without scoring, you can get a first down within the 5 and give yourself 4 plays to score.
Fredericktown breaks the huddle. This time, they'll deploy the 3 wides to the right side, but they've got a tight end and a running back off to the left, and Wood keeps it there. Can he break the tackle? No! He spun down in the backfield and dropped for a 3-yard loss on a terrific blast across the line of scrimmage by Max Woods.
And the one thing to keep in mind here is in regulation, you've got a 40-second play clock that comes into play. You go into overtime in high school football, you're down only to the 25-second play clock, which means you've got to be in and out of your huddle.
We know DJ Baca has the leg to make it from here. If it's accurate, Wood looked like he was going to do a rollout to the right side before the play was whistled to a halt there before it started. And this is going to bring up a 2nd and 20 after the illegal procedure. You're putting yourself in a tough spot in overtime right here.
Yeah, this is the first time they've shown any type of frustrations of not knowing exactly what's going on. Again, the first play they had a 40-second play clock on, but you have to understand that was incorrect. It's got to be a 25-second play clock in high school football overtime, which is something they haven't seen because that 40-second clock is in play all of the 4 quarters of football.
28-28, Central and Fredericktown. We're in overtime on a Thursday night on Parkland Sports Live. Play action fake. Woods looks long over to the top of a double coverage. The pass was intended for Baca, and the pass was slapped out of his hands in the final moment by Barrett Henson. Tremendous recovery on the coverage.
It was a great call. Great position. That's multiple times DJ's been behind this defensive secondary, which I know Coach Jones isn't going to be happy about when they go to film review, regardless of outcome here. But right now, you've got to dial up something pretty smart to get some of these yards back because I think you're going to have to rely on DJ Baca's leg here. So you either try to get him to the center of the field, but you've got to get up and get the ball snapped, running short on time.
If they kick it, they'd be looking at about a 43-yarder. The clock does run down, and they might be playing for field position here as Wood is able to scramble down to the 15-yard line. Are you kicking it, Jake, or are you going for it?
Well, right now, you've got to really contemplate to yourself what has worked, what hasn't worked. I really think you just take a shot here. You missed a field goal. This would be a chip shot, but if it's definitely a wet ball, the moisture's in the air.
They're lining up to go for a 4th and 12 for Fredericktown, trying to score first here in this overtime session as we're tied at 28 and a timeout now in the field. We'll keep it right here at Blackcat Valley. And we will let you know about Southeast Missouri Mental Health, providing mental health services since 1903. In Farmington, they serve over 350 patients, have over 1,000 employees. We're one of the largest employers in St. Francis County and growing. You can find out how you can become a part of the family by scheduling an interview at dmh.mo.gov or call them at 573-218-6800. Jake, you've coached for 50 years, 60 years, something like that?
Well, I turned 40 in a couple weeks, so we're going to go that route.
My mistake, Graybeard. Take us inside of both huddles here.
Right now, if you're Coach Jones at the central huddle, you're just telling them keep everything in front of you, wrap up, make sure we get the gang tackle. If you're Coach Williams, I mean, the unfortunate is you're facing 4th and 12. You know, I think you have to go for it in the weather conditions of what you got here. Live with the group that you've been running with, but at the same point, you've only been a factor in running strong side. You're dialing up. You got one trick play that you've probably worked on since the beginning of the summer. Again, probably don't want to use it week 3, but you have a chance to do something tremendous here. You dial up the best play you got. They've been behind the secondary. There's no doubt they can get it there. Now just catch the ball. I wouldn't be surprised DeAndre Catchings isn't the target on this.
Knowing that Coach Jones has told all of his team, don't get beat deep because you've been letting them get behind you. The slants have worked effectively.
Right.
Do you go underneath and even complete it short and try to run past that mark? And here we go as Woods fires it into the end zone for Baca against triple coverage. He got it. He got it. He hauled it in. It hit his hands. He bobbled it. And on the second try, he clutches it for the touchdown. And Fredericktown goes on top in overtime. And an absolute Thursday night thriller on the Parkland Sports Live.
Holy
incredible play.
Well, it's not even that. They didn't even have to score. As long as they got inside the 4, they had a first down, but they went for it all. So as the ball snapped, you were asking, do you run underneath? I would have ran underneath because they probably assumed you were going. What a way for DJ Baca to come back from 2 missed balls. The last 2 passes to him were incompletions. What a way to come back as a senior.
Push your chips to the middle.
That's exactly right.
The extra point is wide. Now you already know if Central scores a touchdown, they're going for 2.
You bet.
They already have demonstrated that. And so now it's Central's offense against Fredericktown's defense. All right, you want an update on DJ Baca's numbers, Jake?
Lay it on me.
He's got 5 catches. 3 of the 5 are for touchdowns. And he's got 179 yards.
That's incredible. Absolutely incredible. But my thing is this. How does he continue to get behind your defense, though?
Yeah.
You know, it's something that's been such a tradition with Central. And Chad, that was Foster. He's a sophomore. He's a great athlete, but they picked on the sophomore to go over the top against.
We talked about the incredible catch, the bobble, and then how about Wood dropping it over a triple team in the corner of the end zone?
He had about a hula hoop size that he had to hit, and he hit it perfect.
That's one of those off-season, I'm going to stand at the 30 and throw it into the trash can 200 times today. And now here's Jackson Jones, and he just pounds his way right up the middle for a 7-yard gain.
That was a re-energized burst. That was a we're going to win this football game run, because that was explosion. He has not shown that explosion yet tonight.
If you're going to swing at the champ, you got to knock him out, right?
That's exactly right.
There's Jackson Jones up the middle again, and another rugby scrum crossing the first down mark on a gain of 5 yards.
You know, and I don't think there's going to be – I would be very surprised if that ball doesn't stay in Jackson's hand the entire way down. I mean, I think you're almost detrimental to your offense if you do anything other than let Jackson run this ball.
They're 14 yards from the end zone, and Jackson Jones is 14 yards from a 200-yard rushing night. So if he does keep it the entire way and gets into the end zone, then he'll have 200 yards. And Jackson Jones this time is stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't get to see the snap, but the ball was definitely on the ground. It was a good thing Jackson was aware enough to jump on it.
And they'll slam it up the middle again. And Fredericktown gets tough. And they close the door on that would-be rush, as Jackson Jones is stopped for no gain on that play, bringing up a 3rd and 10.
It's decision time. I'm going to eat my words here. What do you do? I mean, you've got Foster out here one-on-one. You got blanket coverage on him.
Jones looks to pass it. He's looking toward the end zone in double coverage. The ball is dove for and caught at the 2-yard line. Karis Foster against double coverage hauls it in. What an incredible individual effort that time to beat 2 defenders and haul in that pass.
I did not think there was any chance he was going to be able to come back and make that play.
Karis Foster right there. Jackson Jones looking for the end zone. Drives it to the goal line. Is he in? Central is signaling yes, but there's no indication for the referees. They'll say play it again. 2nd and goal. Incredible catch by Karis Foster. They'll try it again. 2nd and goal. And they punch it right up the middle, and this time the Rebels are driven back.
It'll be 3rd and goal inside the 1-yard line.
How fun would it be to have a 4th and goal to decide the fate of this ball game?
And the way everyone was reacting, I think that ball was out. I think Jackson just happened to fall on it.
Ball inside the 1. It's the 1-foot line, friends. Jackson Jones, with all the beef right out in front of him, takes the direct snap and noses it to the goal line, but not over the goal line. And we have made it to 4th down and goal in overtime at the 1-inch line. And the defending state champion, Central Rebels, being challenged by the Fredericktown Blackcats. It could come down to this. A timeout on the field. All those weights that you lift, all those hills that you run, all those tires you push around, it can all come down to a play like this.
You know, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, maybe you have a different mindset. Maybe Mike has a different thought on this. You're literally on the 6-inch line. Who else do you have hold the ball? I mean, you've ran inside the whole time. Are you willing to chance an outside jet play by putting Foster in motion, or do you just simply put Jackson under center and hope the scrum gets you in from 6 inches out?
The entire time that I've known Corey Schweiss as a head coach, he's a gambler. But he also loves power football.
You bet. And look at all of his 2-point conversions for 3 weeks in a row. They have been heavy, except there have been 2 times, one last week against Jeff, one this week, where they have done a play-action rollout.
How about the last 3 plays by the Fredericktown defense?
Unbelievable. And you know who's in the middle of that? The sophomore.
Maddox Nepper. It's power on power here, friends. Jackson Jones lines up behind a full line. He's got 3 running backs with him in the backfield. He's got a face full of Blackcats in front of him. Here's the snap and the quarterback sneak. He pushes, and he breaks through, and we're tied at 38. At 34, I beg your pardon. 34-34. The Blackcats held them out for 3 straight plays, but on a 4th and ball game, they bust through and tie it. It's 34 apiece. And a 2-point conversion will determine either a winner or the second overtime.
And not exactly the most dependable situation that Central has had this season thus far. Very, very low percentage on success rate on 2-point conversions.
Karis Foster wide to the left side. You've got Jackson Jones as the quarterback. A man wide to the right. It'll be a keeper, and Jones is stood up at the 1. Play it again. Let's go to double overtime.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Hey, but here's the thing. Now you switch. Now you got to switch where you're at, where you started at. So now Fredericktown's going to go back on defense, get their chance to do it again. Ball security. That's all I'm going to say for these next plays. Both sides of the ball security.
Let's see if Mike Reeves can hear us down there. And yes, Mike, us broadcasters get caught up in hyperbole all the time. And I'm not immune to it. But this is as much fun as I've had at a ball game in a little while. Mercy. I think Mike's equipment has got a little water in it by now. We've got a pretty steady flow down there. And we're tied at 34, headed to double overtime.
There's nobody in Southeast Missouri or in the Mineral area that expected this Thursday night game to be what this is.
Let's step aside for just a moment. We'll be back with double overtime. Parkland Sports Live. It's 30.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center has been providing mental health services since 1903. We are located in beautiful Farmington, Missouri, and serve upwards of 350 patients. With over 1,100 employees, we are the largest employer in St. Francis County.
I think is always in our mission is to get those guys to the place where they can be released in the community and live their lives.
But what makes SMMHC so special?
There's room for advancement, they're good benefits.
When you join SMMHC, you're being welcomed into our family. Find us at dmh.mo.gov.
Well, we said 48 minutes didn't determine it, and neither did one overtime. We're headed to double overtime now on this MAFC battle. What a game. We're tied at 34, and Central has the ball to start out this second overtime. They stayed nearly exclusively with Jackson Jones in the first overtime. This time they hand it off in the first play and get a huge rush by Karis Foster. He bolts down the field for a 12-yard gain on a jet sweep. And Dakota Bowers, Jason Threlkeld and company opened up a pretty nice hole for him on that right side.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that's the first they've ran that mission. They ran it this week against Jefferson. So I wonder if it's one they went back and reevaluated their offensive play call to see what they needed to do to get him in the ball game.
Would you buy it if I told you that's his first double-digit gain of the entire game on a 12-yard carry? The rain coming into play as the snap is low. It's picked up by Jackson Jones, though, and he manages to gain maybe a couple yards with that and did a pretty nice job to even gain 2.
All flags. All my flags.
Now flags on the field. Interesting to see where this one's going.
Well, it was Easton Wood. That's not the guy you want to see on the ground for Fredericktown. I don't know what this flag is, but that's not what you want to see is your starting quarterback's the guy laying down.
Did he get back up?
Yeah, he's back up in a safety position, but it's just hard to tell what the flag's going to be based on here.
The officials sort the matter out. We're in double overtime here in Fredericktown. And personal foul on Fredericktown, personal foul on Central, and
offset.
We'll pick them up and play on.
Yeah, I think we're going to record this game in the press box. That's okay with you.
Here's a 2nd and 9 for Central.
The coaches will appreciate that too.
Jackson Jones may have saved the game by scooping that thing off the turf right there.
You bet. That's exactly what we said going into second overtime. The one word was ball security. We got to have it. I know it's more than one word, but that's the most important thing you're thinking right now, ball security.
Jackson Jones getting a little fist bump from Aiden Reddick, his offensive tackle. And they hand it off on another jet sweep this time. Fredericktown looked to have Karis Foster surrounded in the backfield. He put on the brakes, backpedaled 2 yards. The Fredericktown defender missed him, and then he manages to gain 5 after that.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing is, especially with this turf right now, or I'm sorry, this grass field, you're not on turf. It's wet. You don't know whether your footing's going to hold up or not.
Jackson Jones going to take it straight up the gut right here. He's got some good blocking, and he's pounding it down. Inside of the 5-yard line, he's all the way down to the 3. Central can smell the goal line from here. Great game, great job by the offensive line. And now, 197 yards rushing for Jackson Jones.
That's really, really strange because he's on the 3-yard line, Chad.
And let's see if he can take it the rest of the way in. He's trying to get some push from his lineman. A little extra effort that time, and he's down to the 1. So, I've got him at 199. How many carries? 31 carries.
I mean, he's been the most dependable thing they've had. Fall done a great job with that motion, that loop-in blast. But at the same point, I think, Fredericktown's defense has done a tremendous job on goal line stands. They've given up one play on what's now 9 plays with the extra point or 2-point conversion. They've done a tremendous job at holding them out.
So here's Jones, the quarterback. They'll direct snap it to him. He attacks over the right tackle. And as the officials come in, do they signal touchdown?
Well, there's multiple things going on here, Chad.
He's near the goal line. Did you see them signal the touchdown?
Far side signaled touchdown. However, there was a flag over here. It's either going to be encroachment or offsides. But then I think we have some extracurriculars going on after the play.
So as it stands right now, a 1-yard touchdown run, and Central up 40-34, and we'll see if it's wiped away by a penalty.
Both flags depending.
The officials having another committee meeting out there. I'd like to be in that conversation right now.
Well, there's multiple things. The flag that came in from our sideline judge has the snap, which usually indicates it's going to be a false start, illegal shift, or encroachment. The one that comes in later is probably the most important one because that was afterwards, so that's probably going to be another unsportsmanlike, and you have to be careful on who it's on because if it's the second one on somebody, they go to the sideline.
If it's a false start, they blow the play dead. So probably not that.
Correct.
So a penalty on Fredericktown. Okay, there it is. You wipe away the touchdown, Jake, because illegal procedure on Central, which really, becomes the most consequential penalty because he was in the end zone. But then, personal foul on Fredericktown. So the score remains 34-34. And a 2nd and goal for Central, and they've got it at the 3-yard line. So in an interesting twist, if Jones scores, he'll actually top 200 yards because they moved him back. And they go to Jones, and he attacks off tackle right side, leaning forward to the 1-yard line. And he's now at 201, but he's not in the end zone.
So, we're looking at a 3rd and goal now.
It's the same thing we just saw.
We're right back to where we started. The only bad thing is they've got to clean it up. They got to be smart here so a penalty doesn't keep them.
3rd and goal from the 1. Jones attacks, gets knocked around behind the line of scrimmage, but continues to surge and falls across the goal line. The extra effort by Jackson Jones and his offensive line puts Central on top. 40-34. The Rebels lead in the first overtime. The 4th touchdown run for Jackson Jones tonight, and he's got 202 yards rushing. So he's got 4 on the ground. Jones has 2 in the air.
That's just something that, especially with the weather conditions tonight on grass field, it's something to be said about the determination of what Jones is doing here, taking control of this offense, especially with the pounding he's taking.
You talk about that pounding, Jake, 33 carries tonight. And now a timeout. And that'll allow us to remind you to roll up your sleeves and dive head on into a career. Mineral Area College, ready for you. Mac Tech Industry and Technology programs all about getting to work, making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. HVAC, welding, auto tech. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu. Is it just Jackson Jones going straight ahead again on the 2-point conversion?
You called the timeout here on purpose. You've got to make sure, again, ball security is at the foremost importance here. You need this 2-point conversion. I wouldn't be surprised here if this isn't something to foster. Because in everyone's mind right now, We're getting ready to maybe see, what'd you say, 31 carries, 32 carries?
33 so far.
Possibly 34 is in everyone's mind right now because he has been the offense. I think somehow Foster touches this going outside.
Okay, so Harris Foster, that dynamic running back wide receiver. They've actually got Gage Toomey as the running back lined up beside Jackson Jones. There are 2 wide receivers to the right and 2 more to the left. So they spread them out a little bit more than what we've seen lately. And now they'll bring somebody on a jet sweep and fake it. And there's Harris Foster around the right side. A little misdirection. Gets them 2 points. And now it's Central, the defending state champions, leading by 8, 42-34. Ooh, we still have the bottom of the inning to go. What are they, the bottom of the 11th right now?
Definitely getting your money's worth tonight. Whatever the admission cost was, you're getting it.
Whew. All right, Fredericktown has to feel like their offense hasn't been out there for an hour right now. They played 2 consecutive series of defense you brought up earlier.
And I think this is what they have had the unfortunates of bad snaps that hasn't truly cost them, but that was even before the ball got wet. Now you have a young, undersized, so if they're pressuring him, if they're putting anybody over the top of Snodgrass, you have to understand as a young center, an underweight center, that puts that extra pressure where you're worried about taking your first snap before you even snap it, so the inconsistencies show up. Most important thing here is get the ball into Easton Wood's hands cleanly, let him make a decision on what to do.
With the field conditions as bad as they've been all night with the accumulation so far.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, this is the worst we've seen it. It's a good downfall right now, but at the same point, what has soaked in on this field where they're playing, because they've been on this end for the last 25 minutes tearing it up.
All right, well, much like the Central offense, Fredericktown in the fourth quarter and the overtime frames have largely kept the ball in their quarterback's hands and just allowed him to run the football. So a timeout, yeah, this is a timeout by Fred. You just had your change of possession, a little bit odd. Did they want to see a defensive front there? It didn't even seem like they were on the field enough to get a look there.
I think maybe this is one of those that you second guess what you've called. And truly going into a situation like this, you've got to make sure that every play call is going to move the ball forward. They could have seen somebody come out. I know that they did substitute Derek Irby in that huddle. They brought out a receiver. Derek is a very skilled and gifted, very good hands type kid. We've seen that he does have the ability to catch the ball and take it down the field. Almost got in for a touchdown earlier. But at the same point, I think you just second guess to make sure that clarity is there because every snap matters.
We've had an addition, by the way, to our staff here at Parkland Sports Live. Is that Gage Whitener there?
That would be the windshield wiper right there, the automatic windshield wiper outside the booth.
An assist from Gage Whitener. We appreciate that. Here's Easton Wood. Lines up back in the gun. He's got 2 wides to the right, got 2 wides to the left. He's going to throw it. He's going to throw it to Baca. Baca bolts down the field to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Fredericktown.
Oh, my God.
On one play, they get into the end zone. The officials talking. Are we talking about a screen, Jake?
No, I think it was a hold inside.
Oh, mercy. Boy, you go from euphoria to just dread right there.
Yeah, that's a deflator right there, but at the same point, you're still alive. It's not like it was a turnover. It does hurt because you just punched Central in the mouth in one play, but at this point right now, you've just got to recompose your team. Make sure that we're good to go. Wipe it.
Did you see the hold? Did it factor in the play?
No, it could have with how long it took Easton to get that ball out because he had to turn. Yeah. It was on the backside guard, the right guard, or at least on the right side of the line. It could have if he would have sucked through.
Mercy.
Not sure with the screen pass. It was the top priority.
Twins to east side again. Easton Wood looking down the field, and it's picked off. It is picked off by who? It is picked off by Jackson Jones. 33 carries, over 200 yards rushing. He's got 4 touchdowns on the ground. He's got 2 in the air, and he preserves the victory for the Central Rebels, and the defending state champs make it 17 in a row against the Fredericktown Blackcats. But you know what? There's something different this year. These Central Rebels are going to leave the field knowing they were within a whisker of getting beat by the Cats tonight.
And that's something that hasn't been said in a lot of years. And, kudos, absolutely kudos to both teams for gutting this thing out tonight. I mean, absolute dogfight, amazing football game for a Thursday night.
How many times did we see Fredericktown have the momentum, only for Central to just answer every single time? What a get. Double overtime.
But on the same token, Chad, how many times did Central move the ball, and not once did these Blackcats frown it? Not once did they do anything other than put their best foot forward, and they decided to dance. They came to a dance tonight, and both teams squared off in a good dance.
Doesn't it feel like Fredericktown is going to leave tonight's game as a 1 and 2 team, but feel like they're a 2 and 1 team in a way?
Hands down. I mean, you're absolutely right. There is this right here. I know it's not a victory on the stat sheet. This is a victory for the Fredericktown Blackcats and the program that they are trying to produce. And what Steve Williams has done in a year and 3 games, absolutely tremendous to see them square off.
We will not be catching up with the coaches tonight, guys, but we'll post those on Facebook and YouTube. So go to Parkland Sports Live for some of that post-game action. Jake, if you want to kind of recap your thoughts a little bit on the game and take a look at some of these drives, I'm going to see if I can get the numbers added up real quick so we can bring folks some of these final stats.
Just from both viewpoints here of, having knowledge of both these teams, coaching against Coach Schweiss and his staff, and then obviously being at the helm for a few years of these Fredericktown Blackcats, there is nothing more than a tremendous victory for Fredericktown tonight, and everything that Steve Williams has done on the offensive side, that Micah Reitzel has done on the defensive side, Cody Tipton with special teams, to see what they have brought to the table tonight in this game. But on the flip side, we talked about who wins the victory. Obviously, Central takes it home in the stat column. I think if there's anybody who's got to go back and look at film, Central's got to go back and look at the film more than Fredericktown does. Fredericktown has so many positives. Only 2 small hiccups, I think, tonight in my book by Easton Wood. One right there at the end by Jackson Jones. But on the flip side of that, you go back and you're Corey Schweiss and you're P.J. Jones and your staff. What should we do different? Where do we need to grow?
Let's take a look at the final numbers for you tonight. 459 yards for the Central Rebels, and look how they split it up. They go 268 on the ground, 191 through the air. To me, it felt like it was more ground-based, but they actually had a pretty nice split tonight on the ground and through the air. Jackson Jones leads the way, 202 yards rushing on 33 carries, 4 touchdowns running, 2 through the air. He was magnificent. The Fredericktown Blackcats get 349 yards. So all told, they go for 202 through the air and 147 on the ground. Easton Wood was also fantastic tonight. He throws for the 202, and he runs for 119. It's a double overtime thriller in week number 3 of the high school football season on Parkland Sports Live, and we were so happy to bring it to you right here. Coming up tomorrow night, we will have DeSoto at North County. Jake will have the call, along with Greg Allen, and, of course, Mike Reeves will be alongside as well. We invite you to join us there. Thanks so much for joining us tonight for a fantastic football game.